If you have watched my videos before, you know that I have somewhat of a love-hate relationship with dupes. I think there are a lot of fake dupes. Even you guys have noticed this, that it feels like just because a product is similarly packaged to another one, that it is magically a dupe. In today's video, we're talking about like the top tier dupes, the products that I truly believe have that dupe it factor, if you will. You guys probably know, if you watch my channel a lot, that I absolutely am obsessed, probably. You know, I don't use that word lightly. I do have a slight obsession with the Hourglass Volumizing Glossy Balms. So if you're like me, if you have been looking at these, if you enjoy these, I am a huge fan and have been a huge fan for at least 2 years now. These are the most lovely glossy balms. They really envelop the lips in this very plush way. They fill in the lines of the lips. The shades are absolutely stunning. Very, very well dialed in. For me personally, I'm not surprised because I think that Hourglass does shades very well. And these are just one of my favorite Hourglass products that I have ever tried. They're very luxurious, from the packaging to the actual texture. The texture feels luxe. It really has that grip. It has the shine. Yeah, it's just been a favorite pretty much since I tried them. So when I tell you that I love this dupe, you guys, I love this dupe. These are the new Maybelline Glaze Oil Balms, and truly these are some of the most beautiful lip products I have used at the drugstore in my life. You guys, I truly feel like this texture, these shades through and through are luxury quality. Now, I'm sure there are a lot of people that will probably compare these to the Dior Lip Addict balms, especially because they have that kind of classic Dior scent, that kind of sweet mint kind of smell. And I think that Maybelline, of course, is going for duping that product. However, I've used those. These are better than those, and the formula is way, way closer to the Hourglass Volumizing Glossy Balms. So right now I'm wearing the shade Peach Quench, and they have a little bit more of a creamy, slightly creamier pigment than the Hourglass do, but it really is shade dependent. So for example, this shade has a little bit more of a creamy look, but when I try out the cherry shade, for example, that one is way less of a creamy kind of pigment look, and it's way more of that juicy, slightly more jelly kind of pigment. These envelop the lips beautifully. They are so melty, they're glossy, they're shiny, they're comfortable. These are one of the only lip products in recent memory that I feel excited to reapply. I mean, I am someone that I love lip products. I love trying them out, but I have always personally felt that, you know, putting on lip products is a bit of a chore for me, and I look forward to applying these. My lips feel really good when I have them on. It's very laissez-faire. There is nothing that you can mess up about these, from the application to the way they fade. Like, through and through, everything is really lovely, very everyday. And because these are so affordable, you can actually buy more of them, or you can obviously save your money. But I have a feeling that if you try out one, there might be a chance that you try out another. My personal favorite is the Peach Quench and the Cherry. I have other shades though, I just haven't gotten to try them out. I will give you swatches of the Cherry one because that might be one of my favorite reds I've ever worn in my life. I don't know why more people aren't talking about these. I'm absolutely blown away. Truly, this is a luxury beauty lip formula. And again, I'm willing to spend 30 something bucks on a gloss balm. I'm willing to go there. I'm just telling you guys right now, you can get an absolutely beautiful, beautiful luxury formula at the drugstore in these glaze balms. So really, one of the best Maybelline launches in recent memory. I'm obviously incredibly impressed. So yeah, you guys can see they have, like, for example, the pink drip shade, which is kind of this like very translucent pink kind of pH kind of shade that Dior is very known for. So again, just because a product is similarly packaged doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a perfect dupe for that product. I think that these are better than those Dior Lip Addict lip balms. Again, just throwing it out there. Next up, we have a mascara dupe for you guys. So Kosas recently came out with their Soul Gazer mascara, and I've been trying out this one. This is kind of a spoiler for an upcoming video because I have a video talking about a ton of new beauty releases as a whole. And I had to talk about this mascara from Kosas because it has this really nice kind of hourglass shaped wand, rubberized bristles, and this is supposed to actually help your lashes as you continue to wear it. Very much a defining mascara kind of vibe. However, I personally found this to really kind of weigh down my lashes and made my lashes look a little bit more sparse. It was something that I started to notice over time. There was just something not clicking. And ultimately, I think that though I enjoy this kind of bristle typically, I love that definition. I love an hourglass shape. It just was not giving me the overall length and volume and kind of that fluffy lash look. You know, if you're putting on mascara and somehow your lashes look not as full, you know, that's like a red flag for me. Though I will say it wears really well. It wore very well every time I've tested it. But another product that wears kind of insanely good, it's the mascara that's on my lashes today. It's the Versed Day Lash, and this is their lifting and defining mascara. They mentioned that this is supposed to be good for your eyelashes as well. Now, I'm not going to comment or say that I've seen a drastic improvement in my lashes with either of these products because I have not. So all I can say is that they have similar marketing angles here as to what these formulas are going to do for your lashes. But something that you're going to notice right away is that this wand is incredibly similar to the new Soul Gazer. And I've started to see more brands kind of do this rubberized bristle, like hourglass kind of shape. Now it's more exaggerated with the Kosas versus the Versed, but the Versed still has that kind of wiggle to it. Something that the Versed does better than the Kosas, in my opinion, is that there are more of the rubberized bristles, so it has more of a combing effect. You know, when you want a mascara to really lengthen, really make you look like you have more lashes, you do have to have more of a comb through. That's something that I love about the Tower 28 Make Waves mascara. That might be the best combing like the best actual wand that I've ever used in my life because it combs every single lash. In fact, when I had worn a couple of coats of this one from Kosas, I went back to my Tower 28 and coated through it on a day when this looked really bad just because I needed them to give me more. So I think if someone is looking for that kind of rubberized hourglass shaped wand, but you want something more affordable, I say go with the Versed. And typically when people are searching for these kinds of wands, it's because you're looking for a very fluttery kind of natural lash, a very clean volume, and that is what the Versed will give you. It lasts forever. And for me, it just gives this really almost like lash perm kind of look, you know, that lash lift, very subtle kind of tint. It is very no makeup, but not so no makeup that it looks like you didn't put on any mascara at all. It's definitely a you will get your lashes complimented on, not necessarily your mascara. So if that's your vibe, I say go with the Versed. It is absolutely lovely. And I would honestly just skip the one from Kosas. So let's say you are someone that has seen the new Huda Beauty lip contour stain. This is a product that I was very, very excited to see launch because personally for me, I love a lip stain marker. I love the way you can kind of cheat your lip lines by literally staining them. I find that that is a very realistic way to make your lip lines last longer. And also, as someone with not super clearly defined lip lines, I find that a lip stain just gives this very, very realistic effect that I can't always get with my lip liners. Now, there are some that I think do a really good job, but I'm not gonna lie, I am a huge fan of like lip stains in general. I mean, if you guys could see my collection of lip stains, you would know that, and I talk about them a lot. So I took it upon myself to buy like all of every lip stain marker that I could find to try and find a dupe for the Huda Beauty lip stains, because everyone's talking about how these don't last long. Like they dry up, and then some people are like, you need to store them down. And then other people are like, okay, well, they're still not working for me. They're just a marker and they're gonna dry out. So I want to do an entire video just talking about lip stain markers, the best, the worst, the good, the bad, and the ugly. However, I have seen video after video after video saying that the Covergirl Outlast lip stains are a dupe for the Huda Beauty lip stains. And again, as I've been saying throughout all of my reviews, I think that just because these are two lip stain markers, it doesn't mean that these are dupes necessarily, but they are definitely in the same world and it's worth talking about. These Outlast lip stain markers from CoverGirl, these were in Best of Beauty for 2024. Again, I really enjoy the way I can get these very precise, crisp lines with this, and it's because this is a smaller marker tip than some of the other marker tips on the market. You know, the ones from Palladio have a slightly thicker tip to them, but it's also softer. The CoverGirl lip markers are a little scratchy, and I personally find that, hopefully you guys can see that, they get kind of a little bit frayed at the top if they come in contact with anything kind of wet. So if you already have a little bit of lip balm on, a little bit of gloss, this is gonna kind of fray faster. And I'm just gonna say it now, I don't think these are dupes, but I don't think that necessarily means that the CoverGirl is a bad product or that the Huda Beauty is a bad product necessarily. All of these lip stain markers across the board are going to dry out faster. It's just kind of the name of the game with these kinds of products. So I don't even necessarily think that this is a Huda Beauty specific problem. If I'm being honest, you know, with the Huda Beauty markers, I'll show you guys the demo that I did for them. These are definitely juicier than any of the other lip stains I've tried thus far. To me, leading me to believe that they are going to last longer as far as not drying out the soonest, but again, I can't really tell for sure yet. They haven't dried out yet on me. The Huda Beauty, the marker itself is much softer. I think that if you have larger lips, you're going to have an easier time lining your lips with the Huda Beauty versus something like the Outlast from CoverGirl, because when you have something so precise and almost slightly, it's like an irregular thinness at the top of this, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to line your lips and get like a very uniform look. Sometimes when an applicator is too thin and too precise, you can notice every single little line that isn't completely perfect, whereas when a liner is thicker or it has this kind of taper to it, you can kind of lay it on its side and get a little bit more precise. So a lot of this is going to be dependent on what you look for in your lip marker, how your lips are shaped. I will get into like every single alternatives that I absolutely love, other products within the same like wheelhouse. Like, for example, I've been trying out both of the new Tarte lip stains, K-Beauty lip marker stains, the ones from Kiko. There are a lot in this world, but I personally do not believe these to be dupes. They are similar products, but they are not dupes. You know, for this video, I did want to talk about like, you know, products that I think are kind of like exact dupes. So products like, you know, the Maybelline glazes versus like the hourglasses. I would consider these to be kind of like exact dupe products. Now, the next dupe that I have for you guys is kind of like I wish I had the product still with me to show you guys, but it expired, so it had to go out. But the Ilia Super Serum Skin Tint, I feel like that product is it's almost like a cult favorite hero product that Ilia has released. It's been out for, I mean, I'm gonna say at least 5 years now, and it's a really lovely skin tint. I think it looks really fresh on a lot of people. It's more of this kind of like mineral-based skin tint-esque product. So we've seen a lot of these kinds of products release. So products like the CL Tint and Protect, I rave about this product a ton on my channel. But the Ilia Super Serum Skin Tint, it's almost feels like a squalane when it goes on your skin. I believe it also does have squalane in it. And it kind of just has this really lovely milky texture. It just blends out really evenly. And it has a really gorgeous blur, a very dewy finish. But here's the thing, it is a bit greasy as far as like the finish of it. It goes very glowy very fast. And I kept trying to figure out what the e.l.f. Halo Glow Skin Tint reminded me of. And I was like, maybe it's the CL, maybe it's the IT Cosmetics. I just kept trying to go through different products in my brain of what it could be similar to. And this is what I landed on. I personally believe that the e.l.f. Halo Glow Skin Tint is like a new and improved version of the Ilia Super Serum Skin Tint. For me personally, it is not quite as glowy as the Ilia, but it has more coverage. So you actually need to use less product, which is incredible. The shade range isn't quite as expansive as the Ilia. So that's always a caveat when it comes to drugstore makeup, is I feel like sometimes drugstore just does not have the same shade ranges as some high-end brands do. But you need less product, you will get slightly less of a glowy finish, and you're still getting this lovely blur to your skin. This, I'm wearing it today. Even though it's glowy, even though I've been sweating for like 2 hours trying to film this video, it still remains blurred, it still remains intact. Set this with a little bit of powder, it will just give you such an incredible finish. Now, I don't think a product like this, or even the Ilia Super Serum Skin Tint, is going to be great for someone with oily skin. So keep that in mind. But I'm telling you guys, if you have more normal skin, if you have more dry skin, this is one of the most beautiful complexion products that I have used at the drugstore, period. I think e.l.f. did seriously such an insanely good job with this formula. Through and through, this is an absolutely beautiful skin tint. Go ahead and talk about the Glow Recipe Watermelon Glow Niacinamide Drops. Now, these are the Hue drops, which means these are the ones with a little bit of bronze to it, but just ignore the bronze part. Pretend like this is just the normal one. I actually used these on my friend for her wedding, so I ended up just giving her like everything that I used on her for her wedding. But I did pick up the Hue drops. You can see it's a very, very subtle bronzing drop. What is the same about the Hue drops to the OG Glow Recipe drops is that this is a very juicy kind of skin serum product. It has that kind of fresh watermelon smell that I think everyone loves about this product. At least, honestly, I'm not the first person to love fragrance in my skincare, but I also kind of like that kind of juicy watermelon scent. But it's lovely because it's a very kind of replenishing, hydrating serum glow product rather than a glow lotion product that is very greasy and heavy and mica forward, like sparkle forward. So it works for a lot more skin types. It's going to be really good for dehydration. So if you have issues with like your makeup settling into fine lines, or in general, your skin starts to get more sallow, more dehydrated as you continue to wear your makeup, this isn't going to drastically change the texture, consistency of your makeup. It's not going to make a foundation go from matte to super dewy. So it's more of a middle road texture. And in general, I feel like Glow Recipe was one of the first brands that started marketing their skincare more as that prep product for makeup. And I think this really blew up for good reason. Now, e.l.f. has a long history of, duping different primer products. So for example, their classic is the e.l.f. Gripping Primer, which is a dupe for the Milk Makeup Gripping Primer. And for me personally, I've talked about those products before. The Jelly Pop Primer from e.l.f., those are all like very interchangeable in my opinion. And my skin actually likes the one from e.l.f. more, so if that tells you anything, it just tells you that e.l.f. really does a good dupe. I mean, across the board, it's not every single one. I mean, I just talked about how I felt like the new e.l.f. lip stains that are supposed to be Benetton are not dupes. It is what it is. I mean, you guys, across the board, e.l.f. does dupes very well. They don't hit every time. But I will say that the e.l.f. Holy Hydration Thirst Burst Dewy Brightening Drops, I just got the travel size. Again, because I was like, I don't know if it's gonna be a dupe for the Glow Recipe drops. And honestly, I'm using more milky toners every day for like my skincare, skin prep kind of product, like that product that is really going to help with the overall moisture and glow of my skin. But I was so exceptionally pleasantly surprised by this. And the reason being is that it's essentially just the Glow Recipe drops. In fact, I feel like my skin likes these even more. So you can see there, it has that tinge of a pink color that the original ones have. And your skin just feels that immediate kind of drink of water effect. You know, when I did do my friend's makeup for her wedding, we chose the Glow Recipe drops because she has more dehydrated, dry skin, but she still wanted a matte effect to her makeup. So that does a really good job of kind of smoothing, hydrating, plumping without a lot of greasiness. And that is exactly what this does. I would recommend anyone that loves the Glow Recipe to please try this. It is an exceptional, beautiful product. I think e.l.f. did really a lovely job with creating, again, another dupe. Now, I don't think that this is necessarily better than the Glow Recipe, other than it's cheaper. So, you know, some of these dupes, I'm like, I think that the dupe is better than the original product, but I think this is just like, you know, just as good. Let's talk about a new launch from Dior. Now, you guys know that I picked up 2 shades to try out for you guys. This was an $80 purchase. I understand what Dior was trying to do with this launch, but if I'm being honest, I think that this was not their best as far as cheek products. So these are the Rosy Glow blush sticks, and they're supposed to give you that really rosy, dewy flush, but on me, they actually tend to look quite thick. They remain very dewy. They're almost reminiscent of like a lip product, or not the most comfortable on my skin, and they kind of just leave this layer of product sitting on top of my skin. It gives you a glow, but I don't know if it's the best glow for me. I was really bummed that I picked out 2. I should have just started out with 1. I just couldn't choose between these 2 shades. For me, this is definitely a regret purchase, but I started thinking about what I think Dior was trying to go for within this formula, and I found a product that I think you guys should absolutely try before you go out and pick up these blushes from Dior. And they are the Versed Shade Swipe Blush Sticks. So I actually have 2 different ones here, and I'm wearing the shade Pinch on my cheeks today. And these are essentially kind of like balm cream blushes that will give you this really lovely radiance. The entire Versed makeup line is still relatively new. They just launched their makeup this year. And these 2 blushes, since I tried them, not only are they covered in cat hair right now, but they have been blushes that I just have not been able to put down. If you enjoy a more emollient, again, very creamy, fresh sort of cheek look, you're not afraid of a glow, but you don't want your cheeks to be sticky and overly heavy looking as far as the actual texture, then I think you're better off going with these from Merit. You can get at least 3 of these for the price of 1 from the Dior, which I would rather reach for these any day. Any day. What I like to do personally with these kind of balmy formulas is take it onto the back of my hand and then with a brush just pick up the product and tap it on, and it just melts and gives this really real life effect kind of flush that I think most people will be able to get along more with than the Dior. If you're new to my channel, I do tend to have more normal to dry skin, and I do get hormonal acne. For me personally, the Dior was too heavy for me, and Unless you have very, very dry skin, I could just imagine that product being quite heavy and sticky for a large portion of the population. For me, it's kind of a no-brainer to just go with these ones from Versed. And if that wasn't enough, I also have to say that Dior, for some reason, gave like a sweet, like, you know, their true lip like formula, the sweet mint smell that I love, by the way. Why would you put that in a blush though? I don't get that. I don't want something that smells like a lip product and is minty to go on my cheeks. That is just, that's going to cause more trouble than it's worth as far as how my skin is feeling. So for this video, I did want to talk about like, you know, products that I think are kind of like exact dupes. So products like, you know, the Maybelline glazes versus like the hourglasses. I would consider these to be kind of like exact dupe products. But there's also these dupes like the Dior cheek product that the alternative in and of itself is just better. Like, I wish you guys could even see the way that the Dior looks on the skin versus the Merit. It's almost one of those things where I wish I could go up to someone that was like in front of the Dior gondola at Sephora and just be like, psst. So by the way, that is the shade Picnic from Merit. And then that is the, what shade is that? The shade Candy from Dior. So those are the two shades that are the closest within my collection that I could find. And those were some incredible affordable dupes for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if there are any products you want me to try, if you found dupes that you think I should try, definitely leave me a comment down below. If you found it helpful, definitely make sure to give the video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in my next one.